Stacy can't move up and down. So, oh, I see. That feels special.
Good morning. My name is Kent Lindstrom, and I serve as a worship associate here at May Memorial Unitarian Universalist Society. We enter into this community ever-changing and transforming. We are a community of faith in the power of action to heal. We are a community that celebrates this Pride Month for all lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, asexual, and intersex people. We are a community that supports our Muslim neighbor, wishing a blessed Eid. We are a community of love for the stranger and friend. We are a community of accountability and integrity. We are Unitarian Universalists. If this is your first time here, we ask that you complete one of our welcome cards found in the gray hymnals or at the welcome table in the foyer, and put it in a collection basket or give it to one of the people at the welcome table. We particularly invite you to join us for our social hour after the service. We are glad you are here and hope to see you on future Sundays. Please note the announcements printed in the insert in your order of service. Pastor Sunshine has some additional announcements.
We're here, folks. Don't do that. I won't make it through the service. This is the third time I have concluded an interim ministry with a congregation, and you would think it gets easier. It does not. I have grown to love this community, and I will have more to say about that later in the service. For those who are first-time visitors, you should know I'm an interim minister who is serving a 2-year contract that concludes on July 31st, and today is my last worship service. So, we do have a few announcements. One is that on June 30th, I will be holding the last of my Enneagram seminars. This is on a Saturday morning. I will offer from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. an intro class for anybody who has not taken an Enneagram class with me before or would like a refresher. And then from 10 to 12, we'll have a spirituality of the Enneagram class that looks at some of the spiritual aspects of the Enneagram. So if you're interested in that, particularly if you're interested in the 9 o'clock time, please let me know so that I can prepare for that adequately, and I will hope to see you on June 30th. Later that day at 2 p.m., we will have the memorial service for Jill Evans, and so that will be here on that day. I have heard from the Corson family that the memorial service planned for Pat Corson will be at Skinny Atlas Lake on July 21st, and I will have more information about that in coming weeks. I will be gone. I'm leaving Monday night and returning 9 days later on Wednesday for General Assembly. This is a big year. If you've not watched General Assembly, which is our annual meeting of Unitarian Universalists, online, you should. I especially encourage you to watch on Thursday night. It's at 7 p.m. Central, so it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, in which both Bethany and I and Sarah Jo will be participating in a service recognizing our status and work as religious leaders within Unitarian Universalism. And Sophia Betancourt is giving the sermon, and she can knock the socks off an entire 50-story building, so it's worth your time. Oh, and I do want to say that I will be serving in the office and offering pastoral care and available for dinner, coffee, conversation until July 6th. So once I get back, I will be available for the next week and a half, and then I will be available for emergencies until July 31st. We'll talk more about some of that a little bit later. So with that, that concludes this morning's announcements. I invite you to join in reciting our mission statement. We embrace all spiritual journeys and encourage service as we build a more loving and just world. And so at this time, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbors, particularly those you do not know or do not know well. And so as we return to our pews, I invite you to join in our chalice lighting words. Again, I do want to take a moment to say why we started doing this in Spanish. We have more and more people of Spanish-speaking communities who come to our congregations, including this one. And so as one of the folks in my internship congregation said one Sunday, he said that my son hears his language, lets him know that he is welcome here. We do that so that folks feel they are welcome here. And again, I want to thank Judy for the translation. Please join us in English and then do your best with the Spanish. We light this chalice in celebration of the gift of life. May its light be a beacon of hope, a sign of our quest for truth and meaning. Infinite love, be here with us now. Encendemos este cáliz para celebrar el regalo de la vida. Que su luz sea un faro de esperanza, una señal de nuestra búsqueda por el sentido y la verdad. Amor infinito, permanece con nosotros ahora. And I want to note that's the last time that Reverend Bethany will light our chalice.
Our opening words today are from former Minister of Religious Education at May Memorial, Reverend Liz Strong. Today we celebrate a dream awakening. Today we worship with renewed hope in our hearts. Today we act on an audacity of hopes and dreams for the future. Today we begin the hard work for justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. For today is a day like no other, and it is ours to shape with vision and action. Let us worship together and celebrate a dream awakening.
So please rise as your spirits and bodies allow and join in singing hymn number 1000 in your teal hymnal or on the screen. Morning has come. Sing it with vim and vigor. Convince me that you are here.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring truth to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring joy to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
So I want to offer my gratitude to you for inviting me back 20 years after my interim ministry with you in this year 2038 as we rededicate this building that, in fact, you tore down more of this building than I thought you ever would, but committed it to who you are as a congregation today in 2038 rather than who you were in 1961. And that is an act of bravery, but we know as Unitarian Universalists that we have survived as a religion because we have been brave, because we have been bold, and because we have said yes to the changes. You can just look at how it has been for the United Methodists, who are virtually non-existent today, for the Presbyterians, for even the United Church of Christ that is looking at joining and becoming a part of our religious tradition. The world has changed, and we too had to change with it. And it is a fact, as you look around our country, that many of the congregations that existed when I served you just 20 years ago don't exist anymore. And it's because they didn't engage in the act of bravery that you did in saying, we will not be who we've always been. We will be the church of tomorrow and today. Not an easy thing to do. So congratulations on that. That is such important work. I love walking into the foyer today and seeing that old stained glass window from James Street that you brought back from the Historical Society. Having that as a part of your building. And as beautiful as all that old wood was, it's actually, I suspect, nice to have a building that was designed for Syracuse and not Portland. I'm sure the electrical bill is a little bit better than it used to be. And yet, I also love that so many of the rooms still have all that old wood inside it. And that you still have such beautiful sloped ceilings and so many windows. And I love that you've protected that creek. That creek back was a shining time in my ministry. I remember sitting there doing work, and I'd be like, I cannot look at one more email. Let me look at the beautiful greenery. Such a lovely, lovely space that you've protected and cared for this land for so many years. Is a testament to the commitment of this congregation to environmental justice, to countering the chaos, and certainly we've seen devastation in these 20 years. We've seen how the environment has impacted all of our lives and changed everything we do. That you have next to no summer here or winter here anymore, that's a sign. And yet, you as a congregation said, we will continue to strive for environmental justice. And you as a congregation said, we will continue to work with Black folks and immigrants to create a healing and beloved community. Now, I have to say, in 2018, I had little hope of that. I'm sure many who were there then can feel the same way. Our government was making difficult decisions, and certainly the election of 2020 stopped some of that, but it wasn't until the Constitutional Conference in 2022 when we really started to say, what does it mean to be a democracy? And we started to update our documents as a country and say yes to diversity and not to what we had inherited in so many ways, that we saw a significant change. And this congregation in those early years in the 20s met that by being leaders in the community. What I'm told by your ministers, and by the way, can I just say how happy I am that you've had 3 successful, settled ministers since I left. Such a gift. So excited to see that. What a blessing. But then in those years, you became known as the church that shows up. The Unitarian Universalists, both you and First, became known as the people who show up. And you became known as the people who create space. You started turning this building not to a place you just worship in, but a place that people go to have difficult conversations, to find healing and wholeness. This sanctuary, I know it's going to be retired because we don't really do worship anymore. But this sanctuary has become a place for conversation in Syracuse. It's become a place for healing and coming up with ideas and planning. I think it's such a gift that actually in the year that I was there, you had that conversation about the I-81 community grid. And with the creation of the community grid, First was able to move over into the community grid area and do more active service within the community. And that you've continued working with First as a community to help affect change, bring resources, and say, we don't know the answers, but we'll support the community in finding them. What an amazing thing. Particularly in a time, back then especially, when white folks were the ones who said, we know the answers to everything, and you said, we don't know anything. What do you need from us? What a powerful thing to do. So you've changed. What I see now is not a congregation that just comes to be in community with itself, but chooses to be in community with Syracuse and with Central New York. And that really is the thing that made the difference between Unitarian Universalist churches that survived and the ones who did not, is that they remained relevant, important, and valued to their communities and not just to themselves. You have become leaders, as you so often have. You are this place that has been central to Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist history. Whether it was the work of Samuel May towards abolition, whether it was the work of your religious educators with Sophia Faz to literally change how religious education is done, whether it was being the site where the Unitarians and the Universalists met to gather and make their final decisions before they merged in 1960. All of these different things that you have done as a community that helps lift up and celebrate the life of Unitarian Universalists. And I have to say, when I go to General Assembly every 2 years and I see our delegates from this congregation speaking up and saying, this is the future of Unitarian Universalism, it warms my heart. Because I remember a fall in 2016 when I asked that same congregation, what do you see yourself doing 50 years from now? And very few of you had an answer. And now you do. We are the church of tomorrow. We are the church of the people who show up. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So continue to do that good work, my friends. I know there are many other ministers slated to speak tonight, including your former intern, Reverend Bethany. So I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to chat with you in a little bit. But I want to say congratulations on all the good work you've done these years. I know it's not been easy, but you've been brave, and it has been such a gift. Blessings.
Like my colleague, Reverend Sunshine, I'm honored to come back in this year 2038 to visit you all 20 years after my internship. I have encountered something particular here because I've gone over to First UU as well. You know, I served them 20 years ago. And in talking with you all this evening and talking with them yesterday, I am so proud that you have continued to deepen your collaborative relationship. You have realized that it's not actually, there's not a scarcity, there's not a division between these two churches, but there's actually an abundance of Unitarian Universalism in Syracuse. And how wonderful to have two congregations in this one city. I have seen how your youth and young adults who were meeting 20 years ago together across the congregations, those who are still around, have realized the benefits of cross-congregational relationships and are continuing to meet. Now they're in their 40s and 50s and 60s. And your youth and young adults now are still meeting, I imagine. I love that in talking with folks at first, they say, oh yes, we go there all the time. We even know where their folding tables and their mugs are. We can set up an event there. We can help them with coffee hour. And you too, I imagine, know where they hide their folding tables and their mugs, which are important things in congregations. 20 years ago and today still, we love our coffee and meetings. I have seen, like Rev Sunshine has heard about and heard from you all, that you have deepened your racial justice work and your environmental justice work here in Syracuse. You have really stepped into that posture of following historically marginalized persons, following their lead, showing up when they ask you to show up. You have become those people who show up with a voice for progressive religion in Syracuse. When people, and the biggest change actually that I've seen is that when people here in Syracuse, not members of the congregation, but folks at the coffee shops and the restaurants and the parks, ask why I'm visiting. 20 years ago, I told them I was serving at a memorial, and they said, oh yes, that building with the red sign on East Genesee. And now their eyes light up and they tell me about how they've seen you at marches and rallies. They tell me about how they've seen you holding adult education courses in this church and outside of the community. They see you as the people who represent parts of Syracuse and liberal religion here in central New York, not just that building on East Genesee with the red sign. Is that red sign there still? I haven't even seen it. I strongly believed 20 years ago that the future of Unitarian Universalism depended on our ability to build relationships outside of our churches, outside of our congregations. Relationships that would help us grow into that faith that we aspire to be. Relationships that would help us build sustainability into ourselves as congregations and into our institutions as well for the long road ahead. And what a long road it has been. The future is bright here in Syracuse because of your collaborative relationships that exist outside of this congregation. You are leading our denomination in showing congregations across the United States and Canada how to work together to build religion that is collaborative inherently at its core and that reaches well beyond the walls of its congregations and churches. I am so proud that 20 years ago, you all launched me into my ministry career.
So we're going to hop in the Wayback Machine back to 2018 for a minute. So I want to offer my gratitude, and I'm sure the congregation does, for Reverend Bethany's service these last 2 years. She worked out early in her ministry that she worked for us 6.66 hours per week, which seemed like an auspicious gift to us. I said 6.66. Fine, sure, blame it on the ministry. So today we want to release our covenant with you, to release you on into your service with the congregation in Tucson, Arizona. And though you leave us, your ministry will live on in this community, particularly in the work you did with our youth and young adults, and with our Green and Social Justice Committee, and particularly, I think, in helping with that collaborative ministry, that feeling of working between the two congregations and that abundance that I think you're going to talk about in about 20 years. So I wish you to repeat after me. I relinquish this service. But not my commitment. To Unitarian Universalism. I thank you for the gifts you have given me. In my formation. Even though I will continue. In formation for the rest of my life. I hold in confidence all that you have given me. And will carry that through the rest of my life. And ministry. And so we wish to have all members and friends of the congregation please stand. Repeat after me, Reverend Bethany. We relinquish you from your service to this congregation. Even as we support you in your future ministry. For we helped to ordain you. And that is a promise we keep with you and with all future congregations. We thank you, Bethany, for your presence, your confidence, and your diligence. And most especially, your ministry. You are released from your covenant with this congregation, even as you are within our hearts, and I'm sure this congregation is within yours. Congratulations and blessings on your journeys. So now I invite you to hop back in the way back machine to the way future machine. And imagine a meditation offered to you in the year 2038. And for this meditation to work, actually, I think we're going to join in a circle around the room as we are able. If you are not able to get up, please stay where you're seated. But I invite you to please rise and join in a circle around the room. Yeah, I mean, yes, including me in the circle, yeah. I'm one of the fulcrum points. Yes, come on up. And don't be afraid to scoot towards the back, particularly looking at folks over there. If you can scooch this way towards the center. I can't see who's over there. Max, could you all scoot that way? And everybody else on that wall, scoot that way. There we go. Yes. Oh, and we can scoot this way, too. We'll all scoot. Doo-doo-doo. All right. Happy gift. So, friends, in this wonderful time of community as we return together this year of 2038, I invite you to look around the room at this sacred community. What we have learned in Unitarian Universalism is that it's what we do as much as what we say that matters. And part of what we do is we create circles. We create circles of connection within and beyond. And so we have the circle around the room. We have the circles within this room. We have the circles above in our choir loft. We have the circle that's out in the social hall and the kitchen congregation. We have the circle that is in our nursery with our young ones. We have the circle of people who surround this congregation even though they can't be here right now. Circles within circles. We have the circle that went to the Pride Parade yesterday and the circle that went to the Juneteenth Parade yesterday, and we have the circles that go out and support community, who say yes to life, who help heal the earth. Are you a part of that circle? Yes. I'm not really all that convinced. Let's try that again. Are we a part of that circle? Yes. Yeah. And so as we are in this time of connected meditation, not a time of silent, reflective meditation, but a time of gathered, connected meditation, I invite you to look around this circle and think in your heart and your mind one promise you wish to make to help keep this circle whole. What is one thing you can do to keep this circle whole? And when you are ready, you don't have to say it real loud, just from wherever you are, say quickly that one thing that you will do to keep this circle whole. In an embracing meditation, say them now. So through kindness, through healing of trauma, through connection and hope, through gathering of friends and family, community and loved ones, we hold in our hearts all that is holy and sacred. For it is surely by the bodies here present, within the circle, beyond the circle, throughout the world, that we help heal, that we help connect, that we make sure no one is in despair and alone. May we be a blessing to each other and to the world. So may it be. We're going to stay here for a minute, and then I'll tell you when to go back to your seats as we sing our meditation hymn. We've sung it a few times before, and we'll sing it over and over again. So if you don't know it, you will know it before we're done. It's not complicated. It's pretty simple. Just listen to the song in your heart, a song of love. Everyone is a part. Here we go. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. A song of love. Everyone has a part. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. A song of love. Everyone has a part. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. A song of love. Everyone has a part. Listen to the song in your heart. One more time. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. A song of love. Everyone has a part. Listen to the song in your heart. One more time. Listen to the song in your heart. Listen to the song in your heart. A song of love. Everyone has a part. Listen to the song in your heart.
It is time for our offertory to share. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are a part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in our service to others. We give with the faith that together we can make a difference. We give to ourselves and to the future generations as the ancestors we will become. The offering will gratefully be received. May it be lovingly given. And if this is your first time at May Memorial, please let the basket pass you by, for you are our guests. May the ushers come forward to receive the offering, please.
Will you join me in responsive reading? The words are up on the screen. You read the italics. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk exposing our true self. To place our ideas, our dreams before the crowd is to risk loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. To live is to risk dying.